Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and before I jump into anything, let's quick do the RNG. Last time I did recording, which I'm still working on uploading, by the way, it should be up soon. Probably well before this comes up, but I just chose the soundtrack for myself since we got the same one 3 times in a row. So let's see what it generates for me this time, and hey, what do you know, it generated the classics. So, hey, that's fine by me. I actually really like the original compositions by Dale North, and I'm happy to use them for this as well. Alright, so what are we going to be doing today, Brain? Well, I figured today would be a good time to show off another one of my build recommendations. So the last one that I did was essentially the Stonewall build for Mono Element. This time around, I think I'm going to do a very power-based Sorry, my brain is not allowing me to say these words. But yeah, we're going to do a power-based projectile run. Now, a lot of you have probably seen me do something like this before, and you know, that's all well and good. I'm aware that I sometimes like to do similar runs from time to time, but I wanted to do this one because I wanted to show off something that I've done in the past, but I now have a slightly different outlook on it. So, for this run, see, now by all rights, Air Spinner counts as a projectile, so we are going to take that as our basic. Flare Rush, now before I would have, but last time I did a power-based projectile run, I'm pretty sure I used Chaotic Rift. There is nothing wrong with using Chaotic Rift, it's still pretty much the best dash in the game. I just figured I would do something a little bit different this time. But the other two remain unchanged, Exploding Fireball and Bouncing Surge. Bouncing Surge is of course a ranged control option, Exploding Fireball is a nice big boom boom, and then Gloves of Gambit to improve all projectile damage. And in case there's any discrepancy as to whether or not Air Spinner counts as a projectile, you can actually see it in the little symbols on bottom. The circle symbol, as pixelated as everything is in this game, is the symbol for a basic arcana. The one next to it is the symbol for projectile, and you'll notice all 4 of my arcana have that. So there you go. Alright, as far as where we start, I'm honestly not sure it matters that much. Honestly, I think I'm okay without. So why am I doing a build recommendation video? Well, partly because I want to. But secondly, because I have... But partially because I've kind of been experimenting with things and kind of changing up some of the things that I've liked to use traditionally. So I figured it would be a good idea to show an update to a very power-based projectile build. Okay, but Dark Sage, what do you mean by power-based? Well, what I mean is everything on this list is, well, with the exception of Flare Rush and Air Spinner to an extent, everything on here is essentially just one big damaging attack. So everything here is just big single hit damage, and that will be the continuing idea for this, is that I want to pick up ranged attacks that have large single hit damage. Now, there are other projectiles that do a much better job with critical hit functionality. but that's not necessarily what I'm looking at. By the way, I'm thinking maybe the Sparrow Windstone or Swallow Windstone, but I'm gonna see what Arcana are available first, because that would definitely be a higher priority. I made oops. Now, Air Spinner, even though it doesn't strike at long range, still counts as a projectile and keeps you safe close range, and can do so pretty much indefinitely. Lame. Oh my god, will you just go away already? And obviously, as you can see, Flare Rush I'm using on the build just because it also does a good job at control. And it's pretty easy to throw out some fun combos with this. Alright, so Toxic Bolus. Well, let's be fair, this is one that I'm kind of iffy on as a signature, but as just a standard, yeah, why not? Especially if it's being upgraded already. Now, the thing is, it's not going to be great against Atlas or his mooks, but it'll still hold them still. And hey, it's still a projectile. Ooh. So we're going to be needing a good amount of money for this run. But it'd be good to have a lot of health too. I'm kind of thinking money is the primary thing I'm going to be worried about. I don't know. I'm not sure I necessarily want any of those. Now, for some reason, I'm thinking Toxic Bolus is on the R button, so go ahead and move that over. And I'll temporarily grab this. And yeah, I think I'm just going to move on. I'm not the biggest fan of the Swallow Windstone. It keeps enemies away from me, but it also makes it more difficult to aim. Well, that's not a projectile. But upgrading Bouncing Surge is definitely worthwhile. Whee! So, just for confirmation, yep, that is a projectile, alright. Alright, so Toxic Bolus will be a great means of control. I don't even need to try in this room. I don't need to fight, I can just make you guys do stupid things for me. So another pretty common question that one would ask is, Dark Sage, why are you so big on ranged builds? And I think it's because, especially in a game like this, range is a very important aspect of gameplay. So is completely missing your attack and hitting a wall, by the way. Like, that's so important. You should do that like 3-4 times during a run. It's a projectile, not particularly one that I would want to use on a power build, but I can give it to Nocturne. And yeah, we're gonna do that. Alright, so what do we got? So... your Stormdraft is pretty projectile-y, and so is Starbolt. Though to be fair, we're probably not going to be using Starbolt. Mostly because I can clearly see that both Atlas and both Atlas and the twins are going to resist it, so just kind of becomes one of those things where I go, yeah, but we'll grab that though. We'll grab Electrifying Smock, and I'll probably want Water Cushion too. But, you know, one step at a time, we need cash first. I'm also hoping I find another damage increase pretty soon here, because yeah, if you can't tell, the only damage increase I have right now is the robe and the gloves of Gambit. So not exactly weak by any means, but not exactly what I would call being a powerhouse either. There we go, now we can go grab the Water Cushion. And now I need to hope that we start finding some decent damage ups. Like, considering what I have, Dagger of Midas would be just fantastic. That'd be the bee's knees. Dark Sage, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Oh, what, are none of you British? I mean, I could say it's the dog's bollocks. Would you prefer that? Probably not. Alright then. Ah, crud. That was one of those times where I actually didn't want her to be poisoned. Hey, poison did the job. Yeah, not exactly what I want, so... Be gone with you! Okay, well, we're definitely grabbing that. Now, I don't know if that counts as projectile or not. I mean, it hits at range, sure, but I don't think it actually counts as a projectile. I guess the question I need to ask myself is, am I worried about that? But I think, just for me personally, I like ranged builds because I just feel I have more control over what's happening on the battlefield with a ranged build. Also, I just noticed where I just noticed that I can actually hit the portal right here, save myself a little walking time. I didn't even see you down there, you little dryad monkey thing. Sorry, I completely lost any sense of witty dialogue that I thought I owned. Well, I'll probably end up taking the Sinister Ledger. It's about the only thing there that's really catching my fancy. Here we go. Alright, and a nice use of Storm Draft there on my own part. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, braggadocious or anything, but yeah, it was actually pretty alright. I think Storm Draft doesn't exactly do the largest amount of damage in both by itself, but if you can couple it with a wall, it just does great damage. Oh, what? You can get that out of here. What are you talking about? Oh, hello. So let me look over my things, and yes, I will give you that. Everything else is still important. And yes, I will grab the Sinister Ledger. Pardon me. Don't really need to go to that other battle room. I'm making enough money as is. Now, I don't think Erupting Cannonade does count as a projectile, so I think I'm going to let that go, even though I do like it. There we go. Alright, so, I mean, it's nice to have another damage up effect, but what I'm really looking for is the Dagger of Midas. And I've already said that once, but think about it. I have two things that are increasing the amount of money that I'm making. Whew, that would just be fantastic. The one thing you're probably noticing is because of the strange way that Flare Rush works, it actually lends itself pretty interestingly to some very awkward but very effective combos. And yes, I'm trying to be as mindful as possible of the range of the Lancers. Also, I just saw Seville over there. Let's go get our robe upgraded. Now, this is one of the robes in the game that I feel does not necessarily need to be upgraded for you to have a good run, but a little bit of extra damage and armor never hurt anybody. And I know I have plenty of money. Oh, really? Would you stop? Alright, there's nothing I can do with extra dash arcana, so I'll just let that go. What is my Sinister Ledger at anyway? +8. Not great, but you know something? Not bad either. And yes, I'm noticing my health. I got a little beat up somewhere along the way. Beautiful. Oh, these guys are like the ultimate, are like your ultimate enemy when you're running a projectile-based run. Because their mirror shield bounces all projectiles right back into your face. Matter of fact, even if you're just running a balanced run, that means that you still have to be really careful about what you throw at them. Now, I think I started to explain why I find ranged builds to be so interesting and powerful. I'm not sure if I ever finished that explanation. This might just be, you know, deja fucking vu. It's like, oh my god, Darkseid, you said the same thing 6 times. Shut up already. I'm just bringing it up because, yes, I feel as though it's worth mentioning that ranged builds are supposed to be good at control. They're supposed to help you maintain a safe distance from your enemy while still being able to pummel them with things. Well, if you can maintain such a safe distance, how come you're taking so much damage? You know what? Shut your mouth. I have yet to complete a run without ever taking any damage, which is why I have yet to clear a run with the Pride Robe. Oh, Darkseid, I've cleared 5 runs with the Pride Robe. Yeah, good for you. First of all, you're lying. Second of all, shut up. Oops. Ooh, the burn got him. Yeah, if you can't stand the heat, don't get lit on fire. Wait, what? Like, was he trying to be insulting, or was he just giving practical advice? But really, in a person's day-to-day life, how often do they need to be told, don't get lit on fire? At this point, I'm just going, how practical is my advice, really? It'd be one thing to be like, hey, make sure you're signaling your turns. Look both ways before you cross the street. That's practical advice. Then there's things like, hey, make sure you look both ways before you cross your mom. That's not practical advice, that's just crazy talk. Granted, I'm good at crazy talk, but I'm just saying there's a difference between that and practical advice. Oh, really? Really? That's the game you want to play? Because I can fight at range too, bro. Sweet, I found no other portals to make use of that with. I'm not sure which one of these I would rather take. I think before I jump on the cushion flip-flop bandwagon, though, let me see if Iris is willing to sell me anything, or if I can find anything good at all. Ugh, Bertie. Hello, Doctor. Alright, so we'll definitely be wanting to come back here after we've gotten just a random standard Arcana that we can ditch. Because right now, if I were to just give her something without thinking about it, I would end up giving her Bouncing Surge, and you'll probably have some idea of how I feel about that. Wall bounce for victory! How did you manage to avoid all of my attacks up until then? Strange, strange creature. Alright, well we can happily give her Blazing Bolt. Ooh, down for Renewing Potion Vial. Didn't really want Earth Stomp Agents, actually. Not really a project. I think Earth Stomp Agent actually counts as melee. So, you know, if you're looking for something different to use on your Dark Katana runs, that would be it. Wow, that was just dumb. I don't know what I was thinking. And because of all this damage I'm taking, the Sinister Ledger is basically doing nothing. Like, I would love to say that I'm just perfect and I never take any hits, but I would also be lying. Okay, so apparently this boss fight is going to kill me. Alright. Well, I'm feeling a little beat up. Let's grab that. God, 321 damage. The hell's wrong with me? Oh look, it's this room. Now, I tend to get a little bit worried about any room that makes heavy use of those beam Cyclops enemies, because I know the amount of damage they can do is ridiculous. Okay, so basically nothing really good there. I don't think there's anything else in here aside from a statue I can kick. Which, by the way, even though it works in this game, in real life, don't kick statues. And for those of you who are keeping track, that would be an example of practical advice. I don't think I need to share like an impractical advice of things you shouldn't kick. You know, like Disneyland. Don't kick Disneyland. And unless you're telling me your name is King Caesar, then by all means, kick Disneyland. Otherwise, you're probably just going to end up breaking your foot. Hello, do you have anything good for me? Oh, you might. What can I give to the Mimic? Better still, what can I buy to either make up for something that I'm losing, or to feed to the Mimic? I guess we'll find out as soon as I find the green portal. Alright, so that means that... Okay, I've already found the green portal, so I'm dumb. Alright, what do you have? Alright, so let's drop things I want to keep here. I want to keep this, I want to keep that, I want to keep that. That I can pretty much get rid of. I want to keep that, I want to keep that. That I can get rid of. I want to keep that, that I can get rid of. I want to keep that, and I want to keep that. So let's buy something. Let's buy 2 things I know I can get rid of. Or in fact, I'll buy 3 things I know I can get rid of. There we go. Hard to turn down a plus 35% damage boost. Oh, that reset my damage bonus for Sinister Ledger. Not that I care. Hey, a box! Sweet, I wonder if that box will be useful for anything. We went from taking 321 damage on one floor to 29. Man, that's so much better. I should just play like that all the time. So, Dark Sage, is that practical advice or impractical advice? There we go. So during their signature spell where they just go freaking nuts, pretty much the only way to really get anything done against them is to be running a decent ranged build. You can try to get in and hit them with melee, but because Summon is constantly throwing out his electricity, he's busy swinging a hammer around like a madman, which really, if you can create metallic objects, wouldn't you swing around a hammer like a madman? Just saying. I mean, it might not be a hammer, but you're going to be swinging around something like a madman. And you can just make objects out of metal. There's really no reason not to. Now, I guess another question worth asking, though, is, because he creates objects out of metal, do they still have the same properties of weight and whatnot, or are they weightless for him? It's a very interesting. These are the sorts of things I think about just on my own time. All right. How much would Captain's Ring give me? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 different elements out of 5. It might not actually be that bad. That's giving me plus 20, but I mean, we all know that's probably not going to last. I'm just going to go with it. Alright, hold on. There, that'll actually be more useful. Stormdraft had its moment in the sun, now it's time to go with something a little different. Owie. Honestly, I probably had that coming, but still. Ah, my god, up button. Damn it. Ow. Okay, I'm making a lot of really stupid mistakes here. I mean, we can safely ignore those mistakes. I didn't corner myself up against a wall and get hit by Mortal Coil. What are you talking about? That never happened. You're just making things up to make me look bad. And it's impossible to look bad when I'm wearing this tiara. You and I both know it to be true. So, other ranged arcana that I would recommend for power projectiles would be, obviously, Knockout Boulder. I would say you can probably get a good amount of use out of Twin Turbines, because that has a step that does high single hit damage. There are lots of things that seem like they should count as projectiles that don't. Just off the top of my head, Erupting Cannonade does not count as a projectile. I could be wrong about that, though. I'll double check it next time. Thundering Chain would be great to be able to count as a projectile for Gloves of Gambit, but it doesn't count either. It is just good and powerful, and if you come across either of those, don't be afraid to take them. It's just for, powerful Gloves of Gambit build, you might want to go with something that actually counts towards it for the additional 12%, but you don't need to. And honestly, if I had found Thundering Chain, I easily would have put that over Starbolts. That just would have been the best choice. But yeah, also Bouncing Blaze is good for power projectiles as well. So is Stone Shot, although Stone Shot is just good in general. Now, like I said, I figure to kind of help out with, close range shenanigans, I thought it would be a good idea to take Air Spinner. Honestly, I think that was probably the best idea, but hey, work with whatever you want. I'm just offering you my recommendations, but hey, try this build out. See what you think of it. Power projectiles. And that is practical advice. So thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate you continuing to support. Drop me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, all the fun YouTube stuff. I thank you for coming and spending some of your free time with me, and I will see you in the next one. My name is Darksage Walkering. I will be seeing you.